this will be, hopefully, if you guys can hear me, this will be, and the lighting is really bad, I'm sorry, but there's really nothing I can do about that at the moment. But, this will be, as the title says, a little preview for Affliction's Day of Reckoning pay-per-view, which is this Saturday. This weekend is going to be crazy, as you have the Affliction card, and you also have the Royal Rumble, and then WEC is going to have a card as well on Versus. So, yeah, this is going to be a crazy, crazy weekend. I'm glad I have the weekend off. That's all I got to say. But, I thought I would just come on here, hype the card a little bit. As most people have noticed, I'm a pretty big fan of Affliction. I wouldn't necessarily call just an Affliction fan, but someone who has supported them, because I do think more MMA being out there is a good thing. And you know, and to be honest, after seeing the first show, it was one of those shows that I really wanted to be at, and there's very, very few shows that I would say UFC puts on that I feel like watching it, wow, I want to be at that show. Just not UFC, just for whatever reason, just doesn't instill that. I mean, there's shows like that, you know, that are often like that for UFC, but not always, and that often kind of just irks me in many ways. But, anyways, I thought I would just go over the card here real quick. For those of you that are not aware, it will be this weekend, and I'm sure most people have. They've done a really good job hyping the card this past week, which may seem odd, but apparently it's the last 10 days are the big days to sell a pay-per-view to the general audience, so that's pretty good. I've seen, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend going out and checking it out, which would be Fedor, Fedor, the baddest man on the planet, which has aired on, which is airing throughout, I believe, throughout the week, the rest of the week, on Fox Sports Net. Now, it's kind of hard to find because because when I found it, it wasn't under the right listing. It was under Best Sports Show Periods 50 Best or something like that. But I did find it, and it's very good. It's a very good little documentary, which actually had some Pride footage in it, which kind of surprised me. So I'm guessing this had nothing to do with Affliction, and more to do with probably Fox Sports Net, as I think they still have the rights to air Pride stuff, I think, even though UFC owns the rights. But it's a very good little documentary that they did, about an hour long. If you can't find it on Fox Sports Net, I would recommend finding it on the internet somewhere, downloading it, seeing a stream of it, something. It was very good, and one of the better ones I have seen. Not really a hype video per se, but just hype video for Fedor, of course, but not a hype video for the fights. Then we had of course, they finished the Arlovski 24/7, which was pretty good. It wasn't as good, of course, as the De La Hoya or Pacquiao 24/7, and I don't think it's as good as the one UFC is doing right now with BJ Penn and GSP, but it's still pretty good, particularly since it's web-based. And of course there is the hype show, which I don't think you can find on Affliction's YouTube page, but I would imagine at some point maybe they'll put it up there. But they did a little hype show, which was pretty good. They streamed it, and it was very good. In which they hyped most of the main fights and for the pay-per-view, and it was very good and a lot of fun. And I really felt like it was very well done. And if you can find that, I'd recommend doing that too. I know it's for some reason they're uploading throughout the internet on different sites. So if I can find them, I will definitely link them in the description box. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find them all, so I'm just warning you guys of that. So there is that. But so I do think they've done a very good job, with the exception of the press conferences. I think they've done a pretty good job of hyping the pay-per-view as best they can without a TV deal, and using the internet as best they can. Do I believe this will be Affliction's last card? Very well could be, unfortunately. I hope it's not, because I'm hoping that Golden Boy and Trump are in this for at least somewhat of the long haul, and we can at least get like 4 more shows out of them, because I do think that I do think it's pretty good, and I do think that as a whole, it's good for MMA, and it's different because you do have the ring instead of the cage, and all of that. But I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm not going to talk about the first 2 fights on the card. I would talk about the Chris Hordecki and Dan Lauzon fight. I believe that's his name. I've seen Hordecki fight before. He's very good. Unfortunately, he got pulled from the card because he did not get medical clearance due to a neurological problem. I hope it's just something like a concussion or something like that. He's having a lasting effects of maybe a concussion he got in training or something like that, and nothing too serious, because he's very good and he's very young. He's only 21 and he's very good, and I would have picked him in this fight. And then the other first fight, I have no idea about each guy. One of them is Baby Fedor, which I've seen in some Fedor vids. He's one of Fedor's students, and the other guy I don't think I've ever seen him fight either. So I wouldn't even go as far as to even call that fight. So we're gonna skip both of those. But and I don't know what they're gonna put on. There's a lot of rumors on what they're gonna replace the Hordecki fight with. They haven't really. I haven't seen anything for sure. So I will just skip those. Anyways, the first fight that we will talk about is Babaloo versus Sokoudjou, which is should be very fun for about 3 minutes, because Sokoudjou is very good for about 3 minutes, and then his cardio blows up. And Babaloo is Babaloo, who is pretty good, even though there is the baggage with him, of course. But he's very good. I do expect him to win. This is pretty much a setup fight for Babaloo, I would imagine, if the rumors are correct. Babaloo to win this and then call out Tito Ortiz, who will be doing play-by-play. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, just to throw it out there. Sorry if I ruined the surprise, but there you go. But Sokoudjou is good. He just got cut by UFC, which surprised a lot of people, because even though he was on a bit of a losing streak, he lost to some really good guys. It wasn't like he was losing to bums. But his cardio is very subject. If he comes in with if he has improved his cardio, this could be a very, very good fight. I still think this will be the funnest fight on the card, as myself, I just have a feeling it'll be the funnest card, or the funnest fight on the card, but I don't expect it to go very long. But if Sokoudjou did improve his cardio and it does go well, this could definitely steal honors for fight of the night, I feel, because I think it's just, both guys are just good enough for that. But I would go with Babaloo with actually a KO, I will say. Then we had Belfort versus Matt Lindland. This will probably be the most boring fight, I would expect. Even though I know a lot of people like Belfort, but Lindland is Lindland, and Lindland is going to do what he can do to win, which means get it on the ground and basically go slow. I expect Lindland to win this, to be honest, though it will be probably the most boring fight. There is Lindland by points in a decision. I don't think that's going too far out. Then you have Josh Barnett taking on Yvel, which this is pretty much just another setup fight. If Barnett wins, he will get a title shot versus either Fedor or Arlovski in the main event. Yvel is a good striker, but he's not the best guy on the ground at all. And Barnett's a very smart guy, and I would expect Barnett to know this and will not probably stand with him very long. He'll probably get him on the ground, and it will be over very soon after that, I would imagine, as Barnett is very good on the ground. So there you go. I would say Barnett in an armbar first round. Then we get the main event, the much talked about main event, Fedor versus Arlovski. This should be, this will either be an incredible fight, or it will be very short. One of the two. A lot of people aren't giving Arlovski a lot of credit. I wouldn't give Arlovski. I'm not myself giving Arlovski a lot of credit. I wouldn't be surprised if Fedor wins in less than 3 minutes, to be honest. That said, I also wouldn't be too shocked if it went the distance. Arlovski has been working on a stand-up. If he comes with a stand-up, he's able to keep the fight standing, he has a very good chance to win. Probably the best chance anyone has had to beat Fedor, probably since the last big Nog fight. I would say would be that this is the best chance anyone's had to beat him. But I don't expect him to beat him. I think Fedor will come in, probably get him on the ground, either knock him out very quickly, or will get him on the ground and another armbar. I'll say first round, but like I said, I wouldn't exactly be surprised if it goes for a long time, including all five. I think both guys are good enough, and I think Arlovski could, wait it out and not just basically refuse to get on the ground with Fedor and basically say, no, I need to be up here to win, so we're going to be up here to win. But should be exciting, should be fun. I am hoping for a pay-per-view. This looks like a very good card in my opinion, as there's at least 3 fights on here that I'm looking very, very forward to. And also, if you have HDNet, I would also say check out the undercard, which will be on HDNet, which will be main evented by Nogueira and I will not even try to pronounce his name. See, I looked at his name. If I didn't look at his name, I would be able to pronounce his name. But Little Nog is taking on one of the Russian guy, another Russian, and this should be a very good fight. Matyushenko, I believe it's Matyushenko. But I've seen both of them fight, of course. I've seen Little Nog fight a few times, and I've seen Matyushenko fight a few times as well. This should be a really good undercard fight. If you have HDNet, I would recommend checking it out. If you don't have HDNet, I would recommend finding a stream to watch this, because it's very good. The pay-per-view, I would actually recommend to buy. I think this is a very good card. I think it's probably one of the better cards we've gotten in MMA. Probably the second best card, in my opinion, we've gotten from an MMA company. Well, it's the second best pay-per-view card we've gotten. As I think this is only the end of the year fight. The Ultimate was better as far as the UFC goes, and I think this is the best card other than that, that we've had since since Day of Reckoning, since Affliction banned. So there you go with that. And again, honestly, I wish I was there. I'm really excited about this. I hope this is not their last show, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was their last show. What really kind of just amped me on the fact that this might be their last show is that their name has not come up with the bids for the Elite XC contracts and all of that, because I would think that Affliction would want to buy those up and get that spot on Showtime and CBS, because let's face it, if let's say Fedor and Barnett wins, which they are the favorites to win, that first CBS show could be, and I'm just throwing this out there, and this kind of shows you how big it could be, Fedor and Barnett. People would say, you want to put that on pay-per-view, but you haven't been on TV, you would get more exposure. You can basically let Barnett do the talk show circuit and do the talk radio circuit and do sports shows circuit. If there's one thing Barnett can do, it is talk, and he can sell a fight. And which Fedor, because he doesn't speak English or very good English, can't really do. So you can do that. You can have this on CBS. You add in Cyborg versus Gina, and actually I would bring in, I know a lot of people would say, why in hell would you do that? I would actually have a rematch of the last Kimbo fight and build it up. It wouldn't be the main event. I'd put it maybe the second fight on the card and build it up as Kimbo trying to prove himself. If he loses, he was just a sideshow freak. If he wins, well, he can continue to grow, and you slowly start building up a legit, maybe draw in the sport. So, that would be a good idea too. You have those 3 fights, not accounting some other fights you could probably throw in there, and you've got a very good card that I think you could hype and get a pretty good TV rating from. And particularly since it is in a ring instead of a cage, and I think you would get a little bit more respect, this is just my opinion, a little bit more respect from the sports community, given the fact that it is in an actual ring and not a cage, and I think people would not see it necessarily as barbaric as UFC. per se, even though, you know, it is what it is. But, like I said, that's the only thing that kind of just irks me, why I think this might be their last show. Like I said, I hope Golden Boy and Trump are in this, for the most part, for the long haul, because I would really like to see this continue, at least for maybe a year, or at least until we can see Fedor versus Barnett, because I do think that would be very good, if they both win. Of course, they have to both win. Of course, you know, we could have Arlovski versus Yvel, too, and that would be kind of weird, but it would be what it is. A lot of people have said, you know, if Fedor loses, is Affliction pretty much dead? It could be. I don't know. We'd have to wait and see. But that's what I would hope, is that if Affliction was really going to be around, that they would, you know, even spend more money, even go a little bit, maybe even more than in debt, and get the Elite XC people, just because there's enough people there. There's enough lightweights, and of course you have the women, and you can build the promotion around the heavyweights, which of course UFC is. I mean, not that UFC doesn't have good heavyweights, but definitely I would say Affliction would be seen to have the better heavyweights. The lightweights, of course, is the one other division where you can at least bring in top talent. It's not in UFC. And of course you have the women, which you could build up a women division, which of course UFC does not have, and you could build the promotion around that. Just my opinion. But like I said, definitely, if you can, I would say order this pay-per-view. If you're in the UK, remember that the pay-per-view will air the next day on, I believe it's Bravo 2 is where it's going to air. I'll look for the information on that and see if I can put it in the description as well. Because, you know, I think most of you guys would probably like to see this. But anyways, that is it. Just want to come on here and give my thoughts on this card. I would definitely recommend checking out if you can. If you can't, hey, whatever. I mean, I got wings going, don't I? Yeah, I do. But anyways, if the lighting's bad, I'm sorry. If the sound's bad, I'm sorry about that too. There's not much I can do about it. Things are kind of goofy. But anyways, I'm out. Vitor.